What is your optimization process? Do you resort to a profiler first, or do you know key areas that require optimization? Also, when it comes to writing code that needs more time to be optimized, how do you handle that? Do you delay an update until the code went written properly? That's a big question. I'm going to try and answer some of it. We have an optimization process. It's kind of like different from people to people, or like we have like our technical artists work almost solely on optimizing the game because that's part of like their technical art aspect. Sometimes, like for those of you who don't know what a technical artist is, by the way, it's kind of like the bridge between someone who's a programmer slash coder, or implementing something technically, or someone who's an artist. So like the technical artist kind of bridges those two. So technically, like a technical artist tends to be someone who's like well versed in both kind of worlds. So what they sometimes do is they make like tools for artists, because like artists don't know how to make tools themselves, or they look at like stuff that's like, oh, this was implemented by an artist and a programmer doesn't have time to look at it, so I'll fix it up. And so our technical artists do a lot of like optimization work, and it's like almost everything he does. But he does do a lot of like stuff in general that ties into like making tools and making sure that artists can do what they want to do. So we have a profiling build that's run every day. We showcase that in our studio tour. We have like a dedicated set of computers that run profiling tests, and they do different things. Like sometimes they do like a run through the map, and that's more for like the artists, like, hey, there's a bit of a performance issue in this section of the map. That's when we detect in that. We also have like big factory saves that we like just run and see like what's the average frame rate of that. What's the average frame rate if the player's looking here versus if they're looking over here, to like differentiate like stuff like that. But that just gives us clues as to like, we just see like how we're progressing. So like, let me see if I can boot. Just want to look at it while I talk about it. So we have like an automated like profiling data system that's running, that's like checking like, okay, today the average frame rate for the GPU was 16 milliseconds. The average for the the draw calls were 8 milliseconds. The factory calls were 4 in this particular situation. Yesterday it was this, which means this difference, blah blah blah. So they do that. We also have sections of the code where no, like this is so poorly written. We also know sections like this can be improved. So it's kind of like all over the place in that regard. Sometimes we'll like look at saves we get from community when we look like, okay, so this is a big save with a lot of conveyor belts. Like, okay, what is expensive in the frame here? It's like, oh, it's CPU bound and it's because of this thing. And then like our technical guys can be like, okay, go to a program and be like, hey, this thing is pretty slow. Is there something I can do with that? Sometimes it's programmers that just know like we just have to optimize this stuff. But it's really up to everyone to optimize all the time. So we don't like, I guess that's the process. And yeah, we don't really like, it depends. Sometimes we delay because things are running well. It's the thing is like, it's really tricky to know when something is well enough. I think that's one of the reasons why we didn't release like all the mark loss for pipes, because it didn't run well in faster speeds or was buggy or something. That's something that we optimized away while we were in experimental. So hopefully that answers your question.